week, I'll be back to the office and ready to set the
Okay, looks like we have assembled everybody. It is 8:31. I will call the September 6th, 2023 Environment and Land Use Committee meeting to order. Roll call committee members, Callan Nelson, Randy Severson, Stacy Klein,
Dave Larson.
Tony Munson.
Andy Todd.
Don Waldera.
and staff present. We have Haley, Rick, Verge, Amy,
Mike Cornman.
and I certify that open meeting law requirements have been met with proper posting. We have a 17-item agenda. Entertain a motion to approve.
I'll make that motion. Second.
First by Todd, second by Larson. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Has everyone had a chance to read the minutes from our August 2nd regular meeting? Any corrections or additions?
Make a motion to approve.
Move to approve, Waldera, second by Todd. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Item number 6, our 2024 revised budget approval. This is returning from last month with some updates.
Yeah, we addressed the issues identified at the last meeting, and also addressed another kind of revenue policy decision. So in this budget, we addressed the comprehensive planning funding by utilizing existing non-lapsing accounts, the balances in there. And so we can transfer $180,000 to comprehensive planning. That would allow for the funding of 15 plans through Regional Plan Commission at $12,000 apiece. For a total balance in that account of $221,038. $40,000 would come from the tree and shrub program or account, and then $140,000 from the building inspection account. So that would address the funding issues for forthcoming comprehensive planning program. Any questions? And of course, we would do that by if you would approve a line item transfer today, that's how that would get implemented. So we would want to see that as part of the motion. So that would get, that line item transfer would occur in 2023. Good question. In this month, if you would approve it today.
The line item transfer would be coming from what line item? To
40,000 would come from
From-
tree and shrub account, that non-lapsing account going to comprehensive planning, and the 140,000 would go from the building inspection non-lapsing account to the comprehensive planning account for a total amount to be transferred at 180,000.
so
108 or
No,
180?
180.
Did I say 08? I apologize. 180.
Might be this thing.
Yeah.
what do we not need the building inspection dollars?
That's the
GEC, we sourced that out.
That should be
our,
the net.
Contracted that
our
out.
fees cover GEC account plus 12%.
Okay,
So we're always in the black in that account.
okay. And then what happened to the lapsing accounts that you were talking about?
I only talked about eliminating one non-lapsing account, and upon our discussion and other information, I'm no longer recommending that.
Okay.
I know at another committee meeting, someone referenced that we're looking at eliminating all non-lapsing accounts in the land management budget. That was not discussed at all, and I never entertained that idea. So it's pretty much status quo.
We have 7 non-lapsing accounts. Is there, you had the printouts last time and we never got them or whatever, or you got them in?
Nope.
Well, they're in the budget packet here. Any grant is in a non-lapsing account. So let's see here.
Are they in the revenue stream part there or whatever, or state grant, trim grants?
Connie,
So on the county cost share page, you'll have your non-lapsing balances are highlighted in gray.
County cost share page.
Oh, yeah, find the page.
West,
That was part of last month's
I don't,
Is it towards the back?
we don't have that page.
Do you know how far in that is?
Trim cost share.
The third page.
No.
Or the fourth, after the cover letter, it'll be the third page.
Cover
For
letter.
some reason, all my 8 pages are blank.
Okay, county cost share, I do see it, it's halfway down that third page.
Yeah.
They are not highlighted in green. Oh, yeah, well.
Yeah, they are.
It's
Yeah.
light, it's light,
Yeah.
it's light.
It's really like that.
Oh, I see them. Yeah, non-lapse balances.
So we have plenty of money in those non-lapsing accounts.
Yes.
So in regard to the planning monies, did I hear you say that that generates, or that puts enough money in to cover the entire process based on our projections?
Yes, they would allow for one major update of each town comprehensive plan at $12,000. That's the current charged rate from the regional
So
plan
then, and I
commission.
haven't got it in front of me and I didn't see it quickly. Do we still have 6,000 in our budget this year to put into that we had earlier?
Oh, let's see here.
Well, there was 42,000, I think.
But budgeted to take
Yeah, there
6,000.
was-
There was 5,000 that they put in last year or whatever, but yeah, we have the 6. I don't know if,
Did that stay or did that go? That's where, that's.
Well, if you do the line item transfer, the balance in the 2024 budget would be $220,038.
Might not be necessary either to transfer that
That's where I was
additional
going.
6.
If we have that still in the budget, that would be.
Could save another
Let me-
6.
that
Let
would
me
be-
try to
that's-
find
would
that
be levy
page.
money
It'll be in the second page. I don't see it.
that could be eliminated if we have sufficient in that account. That's where I'm going.
Let's see, second page. Let's see here.
Because I can't see it.
Why am I not seeing We will make sure that we're not putting any more in.
Okay.
How about that?
Okay.
I'm not finding the page in my packet, but it didn't make sense to add that in addition when you're transferring that.
That much. That's where I was going.
so can we put some in, like every year, designate so much? Because like you started updating some towns now supposedly, or no, or is
We have-
Mark kind of doing something, or no?
We're doing some zoning, updating zoning maps. Yeah.
Okay, yep.
Yeah.
And that don't get charged, but I mean, do you charge, would you charge this account for in-house doing that, or this is all just for Mississippi River
Just,
planning?
it's not for a particular outside vendor.
Okay, it's just for whoever
It's for to cover any costs we have with comprehensive planning.
Yep,
Including in-house.
in-house.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, if we were gonna do something, but typically we try to do that in kind, typically. We try to do that in kind. So like, and I'm not saying this, but I mean, who knows? Sometimes the RPC may be understaffed or maxed out on staff, so we pretty much say, hey, this is for comprehensive planning and whatever costs we need to cover. But unless costs go way up again, this should work out pretty well. And we have, since as far back as I can remember, we've been putting money in the comprehensive planning account. I don't think we've missed a year. I think last year exec finance reduced it from
6
6
to
to
5.
5 or something, I think. So we have been putting money in
Correct.
there.
But, yeah.
The dollar amount that we want to put in, we could discuss in the future too, on other
Could we,
years.
okay, so since the big plans aren't till 26, 7, 8 or whatever, basically is what our cycle is?
Right.
Would it be possible to invest that money to collect some interest for the inflation increase, or no? Or can't we do that as a,
It would have
Institution
to go
here.
into the non-lapsing account. And
it's already a
Yeah, I
non-lapsing
know,
account.
that's why I say.
I think that would be a clerk question, I think.
I,
But I
It's
mean,
worth investigating,
It's not
Five-
bad to ask that question.
5%, that'd be 10 grand or whatever.
Right,
It'd
it
cover,
helps.
You know,
right?
it'd be doing one plan. I mean, we
Right.
did that for the town.
If you can do that, I mean, put a little bit in, it only helps.
That's what I mean.
Right.
Yeah.
So that would be something worth investigating.
I have a question.
Exec finance.
So the the tree and shrub program was originally started, that $3,500 every year was supposed to go to I&E. So if we're taking $40,000 out of the tree and shrub program, is there money left to fund I&E?
Absolutely.
What is I&E?
Information
Information
and
and-
education, which is your soil judging,
Yes,
Poster and
there's
speaking, all that
absolutely
stuff.
plenty of money in that account.
it just seems like a lot.
What
It
is
is, and there's plenty of money left in the account for
Because there's
information and
also a
education.
committee account also with money in, correct?
Correct.
For that purpose too, kind of
For
education.
for conservation.
Conservation, yes.
So there's plenty of money available in all those accounts.
Okay. So we're not short enough.
And the other thing, and that one of the committee members brought up, that's part of this budget that we did not discuss last time, is transportation engineering fees. Now, what is that? In the past, that was about $16,000 in revenue for the department. This policy goes back to the early 2000s. And, I've done some research on it, but don't know the entire backstory on it. But in a sense, the department has been assisting towns in providing and doing the work on culvert permits when the towns had a culvert project. And typically that was done on projects where there wasn't county highway cost share going on. And so essentially county highway didn't want to work on those, so we worked on the non-cost share projects. The policy that was brought up and approved by ELU back at least early 2000s was there was a fee set for each town based on the amount of road mileage in the town. And each town paid that fee annually, whether you had a culvert project or not.
Correct. And that was only, believe this is only for 36-inch or larger culverts where you needed possible engineering through the DNR approval.
Right. So that's been in effect for probably 20 years or more. And it may go back before 2000. So one could say, well, why should the towns pay that when you don't even have a culvert project? And I seem to agree, that doesn't necessarily to be very equitable. So probably a more fair way to do it is to have a fee to the towns based on a project-by-project basis, just like a land use permit. So say $150 per culvert. So if you don't have a culvert project, the towns don't pay anything. To me, that's a fair way to do it. And so this budget accommodates for that policy change. If you want to go that route, if you want to retain the 16,000, whatever, we can do that too.
So we'd have to make an amendment to the resolution or policy or whatever that.
Right, but as a budget, thing,
As
if
a
you want to
budget
go,
item.
if you want to go that route, I've adjusted that down from 16,000 to, let's see here, I think 750, or it's revenue line.
$450.
Yeah, $450. So that's a big reduction in revenue, which impacts our budget. But overall, we're at that minus 22%.
So how did the state grant get to be like 160 this year, where mostly it's 126 to 128? Did we apply for an extra grant or carryover?
Last year, I think that was,
Be a line 3.
yeah, you mean for the 2023 budget?
Yes.
There was a change in the formulas and the amount that was funded at DATCAP, so.
You got more.
Yeah. So yeah, we got more, and and this year, sometimes those numbers come out earlier from the state, sometimes later. It's not. So this year we have a really good idea that we're at 129,818
Will be for 24.
for 24. Yeah. And again, county cost share will have 80,000 available in 2024 because we had some projects kind of fall through. So, we're actually looking at levy dollars of 50,000 for county cost share next year, but that still gives us access to our traditional 80.
Through our conversations with land records over the last few months, I thought I understood that 911 signs were a part of their work.
I don't think we specifically addressed that.
No,
I would-
it wasn't specifically. It
yeah.
just came up in conversation, though. But
Yeah, I would agree to that. In my conversations with the department head there, the status quo over the last 2 years was that we accept the applications and the revenues and pay for the signs. They assign the 911 number, and then our staff goes out and installs the sign.
okay,
Land records leadership was adamantly opposed to having to go out and put in the signs when I had that discussion. It does provide better customer service because when you're applying for a house permit,
sure, you're going out anyway.
911 sign goes, so yeah, the customer's paying for it.
and you don't have to go to a separate place to do that
Sure,
function.
makes sense.
So,
Yeah, go ahead.
Was some of the additional logic, was that, like Mark is going out in the field doing zoning permits and stuff? So, he was putting up the signs, and we have the vehicles too. And they don't have any vehicles.
Yeah, out and about anyway, swing by and put it up. Any other budget questions? Dave?
Yeah, so then if we, back to the town fees, if we adopt this budget this way at a future meeting or today yet, we have to bring forth a resolution that removes that from a fee to or from a,
Charge,
it'd be amendment to our
yeah.
fee schedule,
that
I
we
guess.
would
you
have
could
to
say.
have on a future agenda. to
We
be
can
able
do
to-
that in
That's-
October or
okay, yep,
something.
That's what I was
Yeah,
going.
finish up the dotting our i's and crossing our t's.
But if you want to retain it,
No, we have to, if you don't want to do that, we need to,
make an
No,
adjustment
now.
in this budget now.
if we're okay with that process moving forward, we can finish that up in the future.
That's where I was going, if it, confirm it one way or the other, whereas.
Yep. Any strong feelings from anyone on the committee against doing it? It seems more equitable to me personally.
I'll make a motion to approve the 2024 budget with the transfer fund balances of $40,000 from tree and shrub and $140,000 from building inspection to comprehensive planning.
Second.
Okay, motion by Waldera, second by Klein. Any other discussion? Hearing none.
Thinking of one to amend that includes the other side of that we discussed in the not having any levy money into that account this year, taking that, whatever it was, 5,000, 6,000 out
6,000.
this year.
Let's,
We'll confirm that that's removed.
what page was that on the
Your item C.
item C? Yeah, we don't.
It is
Amy,
out.
It is out.
Okay, very good.
Okay, so we have confirmed that. Any other questions? Hearing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor of approving the budget with Don's motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Looks like a pretty good budget, so thank you for your work on it, guys. Next item on agenda We have a conservation aids resolution. Item A,
Okay.
and that is Haley.
Yeah. So I'm going to give you just a tad bit of background on conservation aids, because it's just a yearly thing. It, only happens once a year, and just a refresher. So conservation aids is a grant program out of the DNR, and it's based on the acreage in the county, and that is then our kind of base amount that we would get based on the total number of acreage. So we are guaranteed $1,971. And every county is a little bit different depending on their acreage. Not every county uses these funds, so we could always come back and ask for additional funds outside of that 1,900 and change. It is a 50-50 match, so either a club or another entity would have to provide the other part of it. So if you double the 1,971, it's 3,000 and whatever. So these funds can then be used for smaller projects that help with improving like hunting and fishing and youth education within the county. So a lot of the previous projects have been either like a kayak launch or fish habitat. Last year was the Strum walking trails. We got them some money to help get those established, groomed, signage, everything like that. Really getting people out and about and getting more information out there about the hunting, fishing, conservation. And that is what the DNR requires, is something that really highlights all of those aspects, or at least one of them. So today we have two different applications. So we have in the past brought both, or if we had multiple, we bring them to you guys, and then you would make the decision on which one to go with, because we are only allowed to go with one of them and not multiple. So we bring them both forward. They're both great projects. We have drafted resolutions for both. Amy drafted those, so thank you, Amy, for getting that done. And whichever one is decided on, then we can sign that resolution. So I believe that those were in your packets. So we will start with the one for, it would be Petrick Park. So it is a kayak canoe launch, and Petrick Park would then be the matching partner on that. This would allow easier access to the Trempealeau River for hunting and fishing, kayaking, getting more people involved in that aspect of it, and connecting more of the Trempealeau River. There's a few, but having an actual kayak launch in Petrick Park would then allow a better ease of access from that point, from either above or below Petrick Park. So in the application that we send out, this is an old application. We use it for our side of it, and then we would fill out the real one, because the real one is, they update it, it is 2 check boxes. It's not helpful in figuring out how much money that is needed or even what the project is about. It's 2 check boxes, which I don't think is very useful for making a decision. So we would be looking at like the precast concrete panels, rock, some excavation work, looking at about a $6,600. And again, we would go for our base fund and then move, if there was extra funds, we could always ask for additional. Otherwise, the park would then chip in the rest of that. So it is located currently there. If you go down to the lower area, there's kind of a steeper step down area that some people have been using. It's not fantastic, so that's why we're thinking about really getting that upgraded. So that's what that application is about. Then the second one is put in by the Elk Rod and Gun Club, and this is going to be for a maintenance and rework of existing trout habitat on the north branch of Elk Creek. And this was done probably 10-ish years ago, and now with the flooding and just silting in all the information, they are looking at revamping that and putting in a few more, either rock weirs, maybe a couple trout tables, and then fixing fallen trees that were caused by the flooding in the last couple of years here. So this one, we're looking at some more riprap to help install those weirs, labor, excavation, and then seeding and mulching back down to anything that was disturbed in that area. So that one's looking at about $4,000. So that would be about a 50-50. We could ask for an additional like $30 to get it up to that exact 50-50. So this one, again, we would be going back, or the contractor would be going back in on a property that does need some more work and upgrading and updating what was potentially destroyed, and a lot of fallen trees on that area. So that one is going to be in the northern part of the county, so up on Highway O, north of E, so north of Pleasantville. And there is a whole stretch of stream, the north branch of Elk Creek. There has been a lot of work on the whole, on majority of the stretch. So really having some good trout structures would also be good in there, and just updating it. So questions on those two? Again, both are great projects, very different projects. So you guys can have discussion, and I'll need a, action, and then we'll have to do a resolution from that standpoint. So
Dawn, looks like you've got a question.
Yeah, well, not really a question. I'll just comment. I had actually brought the issue of there not being a decent launch or exit from the Trempealeau River in Petrick Park to the Parks Committee. I love to kayak, so we were kayaking that stretch of the water, and when we got to the end of Petrick Park, the embankment is so steep that I would never have been able to bring my kayak up out of the water if I wouldn't have had help with me. And you don't oftentimes go kayaking alone, I don't suppose, but some people do. And I just, there would have been no way I could have gotten out there. So I had brought that forward and asked if there was anything that we could do from the park's perspective. And that's what the result of this is. But kayaking is a very big thing these days. And I'd like to see us make Petrick Park more accessible for the people who are looking to get out and adventure and those types of things, so.
Sure.
I got a question. How does this work when it comes to, can a person do an inner tube? I mean, how does that work down there? I mean, you get a lot of people that just don't kayak or don't do any of that, but tubing, people love to do it. So is that like a long stretch where you can get in and get out? You can actually go down a ways?
Yeah, you can get in, I usually go in at Crossroads, which is in Independence. And then, or not Crossroads, no, you can go in there, yes. But I usually go in at Four Seasons Park. And then you could tube easily enough through there, but you just pull your tubes up over the bank, just like a kayak, except tubes are lighter.
Right, but yeah, like I said, it'd be nicer to, like I said, I like the idea of if you get something like this done, you can advertise saying, hey,
Yeah.
people can tube down this river and get an easy in and an easy out.
The only thing I would say about this particular stretch of water is that there are a lot of trees in the water. There's a lot of, so tubing wise,
Oh, really?
yeah,
All right.
Yeah, Virg, you just went down.
And we usually, we usually go in by 186. If you know where 186 is where the Trempealeau River crosses 121 or goes under 121. So a lot of times we put in there, canoe to our house, or put into our house and canoe to, I call it 6 Mile Bridge because I'm from Arcadia. The Independence people call it 3 Mile Bridge, but it's Crossroads. And then, you can put in at the park, Four Seasons Park, and then, well, I think Whitehall has got too many trees in the water. I haven't been there for a number of years, but there were some really hairy spots. But anyway, my question is that what is this launch going to be able to be removed, like in the winter, or where is it going to be?
Nope, it's down in kind of the lower camping section, and there's kind of a ravine in there right now. So it would be shaping that, putting in that concrete panels on the bottom, kind of like essentially like a cattle crossing. So it would be in there permanently.
It's just like the one at Crossroads.
Right, and
Yeah.
my point being is that the one at Crossroads looks awful now, and there's a big hole about this big right in front of it. And, you know, that's a corner there, if I'm thinking in the right spot, that floods, and that's a corner that it's gonna be on the outside corner.
So it's
So
gonna
that's
fill
why
in.
my question is, are you gonna be able to remove that? Because in a flood, but you're, see, I'm thinking about the launches they have, like in Eau Claire, that are the metal ones, that you can actually set your kayak in it and shoot into the water, sitting in your kayak.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking you were talking about. But
This is-
I would be concerned about that corner always washing out. I mean, I love the idea, but the Trempealeau River floods and it gets
Yeah.
high and that stuff washes out.
I don't-
So there would have to be maintenance.
Yes,
Probably,
there
yeah.
will be maintenance. That's
Yeah.
what our parks people are there for.
And I guess that's the benefit of having the launch, or I guess it's not really a launch, but a pad, right, to get in and out with. It being at the park would be that there is that ability to maintain it, whereas at Crossroads, there isn't anybody maintaining it, I suppose, although maybe there's something we can do to look at that too. But,
Yeah, I think it needs to be looked at because of that big.
yeah.
Yeah,
So anyway,
sure. Dave?
It's me with the dollar end again. In the application from the county, the total cost $6,600. The grant we're looking at is just shy of 2019, whatever. And there's no indication, the Parks Committee is projecting putting the rest of that money in, or where?
yes, that was approved yesterday.
Okay,
Okay. So,
and it's in Parks budget already? Yeah, okay.
okay,
In fact, it was part of the parks comprehensive plan that was developed a couple of years ago.
kind of taking action on something that's been planned. Sure.
I just have a question. Oh, okay. On the other project, I was just curious, is there like a sense of urgency to get that work done?
I talked to the contractor that would be doing the work. He said it could be something for next year as well. Again, if we get some crazy flooding, though, it could be more urgent. So Mother Nature's a beast, and I can't foresee what's going to happen.
Right now, it
I would
seems
say
like
in
you
the
can't
next
buy
couple
rain.
years would be really what they would be looking at is the next couple years. So,
Okay. Thanks.
yeah.
I was just wondering if like the 4-H camps and the kids things that are there, do they do anything with canoes and kayaks?
That I'm not sure because I'm not really involved in those.
Something they can do.
It's not there now.
Yeah, I mean, I know the kids do go out and have, the tent events and all of those things, but I don't know how much of the water they use. That particular area that they were looking at putting the launch pad is kind of an area, like you said, that is naturally a low-lying area anyway, and so it kind of serves as a beachy part also of the bank through there. But even accessing that beachy area of that part of the river is hard because of the terrain through there. So it would also help with access to the water from the park.
Okay. Any other questions, comments, or anyone feel strongly enough to make a motion? Which is, okay,
Run that landing for Petrie Park.
okay, we have a motion to approve the landing
I'll
for
second
the
it.
Petrie Park, and a second by Larson. Any other discussion? Okay. Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Same sign. Motion carried. We will fund that project for this year.
I do think that for the Elk Rod and Gun Club, though, they need to understand, of course, that that's a valued project also, and
Yeah.
to bring it back.
They really were both good
Yeah.
projects
Yes,
this year.
and this will then, I will relay messages saying that this can definitely be something for next year.
Yep.
Elk Rod and Gun Club is a very active club, so I wouldn't doubt that they would reapply.
They'll be back.
So,
Yeah.
yes.
Very
I'm
good.
going to hand this up to you, Kellen, first, and then we'll look at the next agenda. So just a second.
Okay. I think Haley is our next agenda. Okay,
Hopefully you
we'll
have
pass
that.
that around. I do.
Okay.
It's about 3 hours from Independence.
So our next agenda item is Haley with a conservation update.
Okay, let me put this to the side. Conservation update. Okay. So right now with how dry it has been, we have a couple sites that are grade stabilization structures that we are a little concerned that the soil is not going to be moist enough to compact and build the grade stabilization structures. So we have been doing a couple soil sampling events, and there's one that unless we get 3 days of nice, slow, steady rain, it probably will not happen this year. Hopefully next spring we can move forward with that one. I have another one that I'll be out doing sampling late this week or early next. We'll see what happens. And that one's kind of up in the air. There are some that are going. It is really site dependent. So we may have more projects rolling over this year because of the extreme temperatures we have right now. So I just wanted to forewarn you guys that we might be having a couple things rolling over into 24 just because of the weather circumstances. So
You don't lose any of that funding? That funding is stable then, so we
Yep.
don't lose that?
Each funding source, depending on which one it is, if it's the land and water money from DATCAP, we would then sign an extension. We did that in 23, or no, from 22 to 23, we had one of those. And then DATCAP approves those so long as we have a signed contract, and all of them are currently signed. With our county cost share, that would roll over. We would just keep rolling that right now because that's the non-lapsing account. So that's where those are at. I just wanted to give you guys a heads up that there might be a few more rolling from 23 to 24 because of this weather. So right now I have one of the stream bank projects going. That is on Traverse Valley out on Highway X. It is extremely dry out there. They brought in a pump to help water the seed and mulch that was put on. So, I mean, it works out for a stream bank because it's right there. But you walk out there and it's just like a cloud of dust every time you step. So we'll see how it goes. I'm praying for rain. Thank you. Trees and shrubs have been ordered, so I'm working on getting the order form ready to go out to the public because November is coming fast. So November 1st, if it's not a weekend, that'll be the beginning of ordering. And we have a good variety of trees this year. I tried to get a couple more natives because of the feedback I received, and some more shrubs because there was a lot of feedback saying, hey, I would like some more of like native shrubs. So I ordered some high bush cranberry, some, what else was there? I have it all listed too, somewhere in this pile. And I have, just to give you a few, the elderberry, I have river birch, dogwood, maple. We also are going to do 2 different apple trees this year because that was a good feedback was, can we have 2 different varieties instead of just one? So there was a lot of that last year as well. So taking feedback from what I received and kind of updating what we had ordered. So those will be coming out here pretty soon. So
November 1st is a Wednesday.
it's a Wednesday. Perfect. That is good to know. Next is I went to a PIC meeting, which is a professional improvement committee. And that is the committee that helps determine and get the Land and Water Conference, our annual conference, ready, all the sessions ready to go. That was our first brainstorming session, and there was a lot of interesting topics that were brought up. So I think this conference is going to be very interesting, and that'll be in March over in Green Bay. So precursor, that'll be a really interesting one. LLCs or conservation committees are also invited, so that is something to think about as well. And that also leads into silent auction things. So start rattling in your brains potential items to donate for the silent auction at the annual conference. that helps the youth education throughout the state. So Envirothon, camps, everything like that. So won't need those until February, but just wanted to give a quick plug for it. Again, poster speaking is coming up too. I just got a email late last week that we have the poster theme. This is the earliest I've received it, so which is really exciting, so I can really get a hold of the teachers early and hopefully get more participation this year. The theme for the posters this year is May the Forest Be With You Always, so kind of a play on Star Wars, so it'll be very fun, I think, to see all the posters that kids come up with. And so that will be moving forward. I'll probably be sending out to teachers here shortly, and we'll go from there. So again, if you have any kids in elementary or, high school, think about having them do a poster or even a speech. So there's a plug for that one too. So we're busy. And then that's pretty much it for what I have. I'm going to hand it to Rick to give a little bit of an update on nutrient management, and just say hi, because I don't think Rick's been here for a little bit. So,
Morning, everybody.
Morning.
So I've been working with nutrient management now since about a year and a half. Came into it, right about the time that all the plans needed to be submitted, about 2 months before that. Last year, we reported to DATCAP just shy of 56,000 acres. And of that, about 21,000, a little over 21,000 were written by farmers at the Western Tech College down in Independence with Brad Sirianni. 33,600 and some were written by consultants. This year, we have reported just shy of 60,000 acres, 59,963, 95 total plants. Of that, about 24,000 were written by farmers, and 36 were written by consultants. That is a great increase from last year, and a huge increase from 2021, where we were at a low of a little under 30,000 acres. A lot of that was probably due to COVID. Brad was not holding classes at TC, so we've greatly increased. With that, I have one new landowner that is going to write a plan and use our SEG funds. He's going to write a plan for 488 acres, which should be right around $19,000 to $20,000 for the SEG funds. As far as I can see, this is the first time we've written a new plan in this county in 4 years. So in the past years, we've always had other counties ask for that SEG funds, or we've used it for cover cropping, some of it. This year, we're going to use almost 20,000 of our 30,000 for this new plan. And it'll still leave us some money for cover crop cost sharing. So that plan will not be written until this fall. I have the contract pretty much written up and going to meet with the landowner to have them sign it, and then we will put in for an extension with DADCAP to carry that over to 2024. So because the plans, he's going to do soil testing this fall, write the plan over the winter, and we'll have that finalized by April of next spring. So that's a little update on the nutrient management, and there's, always plug in to get more people in it. So thank you.
Thanks, Rick. Dave?
I have a question. What are update requirements to those plans? If no management, no conditions have changed, what's the update requirement?
They need to supply us with what nutrients are going on to what fields, whether it's manure or commercial fertilizer, what the crop rotation would be. And usually what it is, I'm starting to get to the point where I'm hoping that people start planning. It's not a report of what you were doing. It's a plan of what you're going to do over the next 4 years.
Probably die.
So that's I was at the regional nutrient management meeting last week, and that's kind of the push going forward, is that trying to get away from that reporting of what you've done to planning to what you're going to do over the next years.
So do they give alternate scenarios, say for weather variations, say drought, or so your rotations change, or early harvests, or?
Yeah, I mean, you would normally try to include your last couple of years and then what you're planning on doing, and yes, that will change.
That's what my consultant does. We're on a 4-year cycle. I mean, what we've done, that's how we
Yep,
change things, whether that's how we submit ours to you.
yep.
But I suppose not everybody does that. Yeah, I don't know what the format is for the farmer ones, but probably what they did for the year.
I don't want to.
Put anybody out on the limb.
There are some plans that you kind of wonder if it's just, I have to turn in this plan, so here's my checklist and everything. And that's where over the next years or two, I'm going to start working with more people and develop, getting that aspect of let's plan what we're going to, hopefully do. So.
Good questions. Thank you.
Oh, I had
Give
one more.
Stacy.
Is there a goal for like percentage of acreage to have in these programs?
I know statewide, I think we're running about between 30 and 40% of the agricultural land being under a plan. The ultimate goal would be 100%, I would say, but realistically, if I can get upwards of that 50 to 60%, the one thing that helps us is we have county ordinances for manure storage and livestock siting where they have to develop a plan. I've been out this summer meeting with a lot of those landowners and doing some farm visits. And I think the word is getting out that we are looking at those and like I said, this year we've increased, and next year I'm hoping to get closer to that 70. I think the high we had in our county was 2019 at 78,000 acres. So I've got some work ahead of me, but I'm looking to start pushing towards those numbers.
Is there a push in the future, like for golf courses or municipalities, for how much they can be regulated on fertilizer application and this or that?
I have not heard anything. I know at our meeting last week, there is more work being done on cranberry growers. So, some of those. And then there's a lot of push too for grazing, doing nutrient management plan and pastures. So.
Okay. Anything else for Rick? Thank you. Okay. So next we have our cost share payments, and that looks to be quite a lengthy list this month.
Yes, it is. So included in your packet was the detailed description of each of the reimbursements that we are requesting. So the grand total is $16,369.72. A lot of these are the course reimbursements that Rick was currently talking about. And then the only other one is the Wisconsin scale, and that was a pre-authorization that you guys approved in June. So we went ahead and did order those, so we do need to pay that bill as well.
Are those scales in yet, or no?
I haven't heard an update. Rick, do you know where we're at on that? I know they were ordered.
I did get an email. They had to order them from the factory up in Minneapolis, and they are done with them, but I have not received an email from the salesman saying that he has them in hand. but he was going to deliver those. That was last week, so I'm assuming one of these days this week I'll get an email.
Okay,
So I'm looking for a motion then to go ahead and pay these reimbursements.
anyone interested in? Motion by Klein,
Second.
second by Munson. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Item number 10, a survey from Wisconsin Land and Water. Discussion, possible action.
Okay, so
That is Haley.
me again. I put this on here so that I could kind of give you guys a heads up that Wisconsin Land and Water is looking at their 5-year kind of strategic plan of that organization, which helps our department, land conservations throughout the state, DATCAP, NRCS, committees, everything. So anything land and water related. So they wanted to give everyone a heads up that there's going to be a survey coming out here next week. So you guys should all receive an email next week sometime. They just said the week of September 11th, so I can't tell you when it's going to be coming. If you don't get something, let me know, and I can get you that, or I can print something off for you guys, or I'll work with you on getting it done, because they would really like your feedback to see what they could do to improve kind of engagement with committees, and what issues you guys are seeing, because you guys really are kind of the backbone of all of the land conservations, and you make the ordinances, you revise things, you bring things to the table that, say, the staff do not. So that's why they want to hear from you guys what you're seeing, what you think is some hot issues coming up, or issues that you've seen in the past, anything along those lines, that they can help improve their planning process and really bring in maybe some trainings even for committees, or what would entice you guys a little bit more to maybe be more involved in them. They're a very active organization, and I found that they're very useful for really any question. If they don't know it, they'll find something, another individual to answer those questions for you. So I just wanted to give you guys a heads up that is coming out. It'll probably come from Matt Kruger. He is the president of the Land and Water organization, and just wanted to give you guys a heads up so that you saw it coming, and really to hopefully get you guys to participate. It'll also be coming to all of the staff as well. So I'm going to be pushing for all of us to put in our 2 cents as well, because that's how we can move forward as a whole with Wisconsin as well. So just wanted to give you guys that information. And if you have any questions about filling it out or can't get access to it, just let me know, and I can help you get that sorted out. So just wanted to give a little plug for it so that you guys knew it was coming, not just disregard it. I know you probably get a million emails just like the rest of us, so just wanted to give that plug.
Thanks, Haley, for the
Yeah.
heads up. We'll keep an eye on our inboxes
Perfect.
next week or so. Item number 11, resolution to be Buffalo Trempealeau Farmers Network collaborator and fiscal manager.
All right, the Farmers Network has been in place for several years. The original collaborator was Discovery Farms with UW Extension. Somewhere along the line, it moved on to Pheasants Forever, and due to changes within organizational changes within Pheasants Forever, they're kind of trying to move on to address other priorities. Most county land management departments serve as the collaborator for producer-led watershed groups, and so this resolution moves forward to have us to be that collaborator and fiscal manager to work with the producer-led group. This is a very active group that's really where it has farmers being part of the solution to solving water quality issues. The match is provided by the farmers that are part of the organization, and it's a very flexible grant, and we've got an active group, so we would like to move forward with that grant application.
Any questions? Go ahead, Don.
So yes, actually, no, I think this is all perfect, except that you used an old resolution.
It's got old board members on it.
Okay, well, we'll get that corrected.
Oh, no, I see that,
Yeah,
I looked through that.
yeah.
It can be valid.
Yeah. Those people can't vote anymore. Any other discussion beyond we need to change that?
It's 1-to-1,
Yeah.
and the producers will provide the match on that. So nothing comes out of county coffers, and there hasn't been an issue on that at all.
Make a motion to approve after changing the template.
The form? Okay, motion made and seconded. Any other discussion? Okay. All in favor of moving forward with the Farmer Network, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. We'll get that corrected. Next item on agenda is possible continuous garage and private sale ordinance discussion, possible action. So,
Mark is here, and he can talk a little bit about this. So why don't you take it away?
I guess where all this stemmed from, there's an individual that's selling items either on the street or on the side of the road, like a car or a boat or some type of a trailer. He does advertise on what's something like Trumpealeau County rummage sale. It's not advertised as a business or an auction house or anything like that. And I guess the problem is his neighbor doesn't like to look at the car sitting there on the side of the road. He feels it's an impediment to the traffic. Even though the Sheriff's Department and the Wisconsin DOT did not really see an issue on their level. He came into our office, Mike and I spoke with him, and we just kind of tried to appease him and tell him that we would discuss it at the committee level if we want to come up with some type of ordinance or something that would address this type of activity. And we told him we'd go from there, I guess.
The land use activities change over time, and this is one of these things with the internet that has changed over time. We've seen more commercial-like activities in residential areas, and this is really kind of a continuous sale, private sale activity, or continuous garage sale type activity. Like a lot of times in cities, you'll see an ordinance based on, hey, there's designated weekends for garage sales. You can't have a garage sale every weekend. Where this situation is happening, it's more of a city lot type situation than a rural lot situation, so you have homes close together. But it's really one of these things, our ordinance doesn't address it. It's kind of a slippery slope, but it's really what we're seeing, it's kind of a continuous private sale activity without necessarily being truly commercials. It's in this day and age with the internet and Facebook Marketplace and community garage sales online on Facebook, it's a murky gray area. So we wanted to bring this issue to you. We haven't had a ton of complaints, but it is one of those things that's kind of out there and looking for your guidance if we want to go there.
So this is within a city limit, or?
No, it's actually outside the city limits of Independence and would be considered the town of Burnside. If it was in the city limits, we wouldn't even be talking about it. But it's basically, I wouldn't, it's not in the city limits, but it's city-like, I guess, in that
close
area.
to that, yep.
So.
Is it just one vehicle at a time, or is there
He's
more?
usually got I've seen a skid steer out there, a boat, a vehicle, but then he's got some other stuff parked in the back by the garage that he's probably got for sale also. But
Because I know years back where it was salvage, people started salvage yards when scrap was either worth a lot. They had more vehicles in the yards. Than,
right.
I don't know if it
his vehicles aren't I would consider scrap type deal. They're all sellable vehicles. He buys them. cheap and maybe fixes them up a
Yep.
little bit and sells them, but it's something that's always there, you know. And the neighbor is pretty vocal and concerned about, because people have stopped and looked at stuff and then they wander over to his house. Hey, is this guy around? You know, and he's like, I'm not his salesman, you know, leave me alone, you know. And it's, I don't know. I mean, I don't know what, it's just a continuous thing. And the guy that's been doing the most vocal against it is pretty adamant he doesn't like it and he would like to see it addressed somehow. But
I guess I do feel like if it's a continuous sale, then it becomes a commercial issue, doesn't it?
Sure, in home
It's really a gray area in my conversations with corporation counsel and stuff. The line we've kind of drawn is if there's a sign, if there's a commercial, if the business is incorporated in some way, does it have its own website or Facebook page with a business name? That's kind of where we're drawing. You have to draw the line somewhere, because it's a gray, murky area. Again, with the internet, a lot of things have changed, and for me, as I think about this issue, it most closely aligns with the continuous garage sale type activity, where you have items out in a driveway or in a lawn, and all these trailers and boats and things are on wheels, so setbacks don't come into play. So you can park them right up to the lot line legally or up to the right of way. So if you guys want to go down that route, the solution likely would be like some kind of standard of no more than 7 or 10 continuous days in any 30-day period or something like that to kind of reduce the frequency aspect. And that's like in a lot of cities, again, they'll have maybe 3 weekends a year at which you can have a garage sale to avoid that kind of continuous type use.
Has this been brought to the township then?
I'm pretty sure he may have complained to the township. The township never said anything to me about it. It's always been the individual and he's been the only individual that's been adamant about this. None of the other neighbors have called us or anything to that nature. It's just one specific neighbor that is not liking the activity going on there.
Has anything like a privacy fence been discussed or asked
They're
about?
talking about putting one up, but it's on a highway, so they got to kind of stop it at the road right away. And so they are, the actual guy that's got the stuff is talking about putting up a fence. And I just said, make sure you know where your lot line is and then come this way a little bit further. But I mean, that way they're not going to be fighting about that next. You know?
Right.
Because
that will be the next thing.
So, I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I think what I see going on there is like when we have like a business or something, there's like a little blurb in the ordinance that says no outside storage. Well, if he's selling the stuff on the side of the road, that's outside storage. So it doesn't fall under that. You know, it might be something that needs to, if we can change with the times, if we feel we have to, you know, but otherwise, you know, the DOT says you just keep the stuff out of the road right away. You know, the police department has said there's nothing saying that people can't pull over and park their car and go over there and look at it. You know, they found nothing wrong with it, you know, as far as their end of the deal goes.
Did they say how long this has been going on?
I would say a year, you know, if you want to, you know, it's been off and on over the last year, I would say. You know, mostly this summer in particular, I guess, is the most vocal complaints about would be. And it's always nice stuff. I mean, it ain't like he's got 3 junk cars and a rusty Chevrolet in his yard. I mean, it's just stuff that he flips, basically. He gets it and sells it, you know. And I've never seen anything more than one item basically in the front of the house. But back behind the house, which he did apply for a permit on a lean-to where he could store some of that stuff. That might be addressed back there but the stuff by the road has only been maybe 2 items at the very most. Usually it's just one.
I don't believe I've ever seen 2, and I go by
Yeah.
there quite often.
You know, I don't know what's there now, but the latest was a fancy looking bass boat or whatever. But I guess we just felt it was somewhat of an obligation to try to appease the guy we're not really saying one way or the other how we want to address it. We just said we would bring it up. Because there's nothing we have on the books right now that specifically addresses this type of item. It might be something we don't want to go into or come up with something, but I guess it hasn't been brought up anywhere else.
Well, nowadays, someone's trying to make some money because of the times.
Yeah.
I don't know. I would want to see what I'm looking at before I even thought about making a decision.
Right, I mean, I haven't done any research on other counties' rules, but I haven't, it's just nothing that's really come up before until recently with these two people, and, they're both headstrong on how they feel about it, put it that way.
Randy?
I think we need to make sure there's a separation between a local business and something that's starting to look like a local business, because the local businesses have to abide by a lot of parking, bathrooms, so we're, kind of making a local business, or making a business, creating a business without having all the encumbrance that go with it.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a different animal than what we're used to dealing
Yeah.
with. It's not a building where we can say, okay, your stuff needs to go on in here.
Mm-hmm.
He's just got it sitting out by the road and got a for sale sign on it, and
Because, I do know from other people selling stuff along the road, if they don't find somebody home at that house, they'll go to the neighbor,
I guess if I was gonna stop and look at someone's car or boat, I wouldn't go to the neighbor's house
They
and
do,
beat on their
though.
door.
They do.
I would call the number that's on the sign and
Yeah.
set up a date to meet them. I wouldn't go bugging the neighbors about it, and I don't know if that actually happened or not, but it was told that that's what had happened. Because they seen him outside. I don't think they went and beat on his door. They actually seen him, and then they went over there and asked him.
Yeah, I mean, we've had it.
That was
Our
it.
Neighbors have sold stuff fairly often, and, hey, when's it gonna be around? And it's like,
No idea.
even if it says on the sign, this number, contact this person, we still have people.
Yeah, everybody wants an answer, like right now, I wouldn't be bothering a neighbor if I was gonna stop and look at something. I would just call the number. But
Myself, I sympathize with the neighbor, but I don't know that we at this level should try to enact something on one complaint. Now, if we start
Maybe
seeing,
reach out to the townships and see.
reach out, find out, is there a lot of complaints,
Yeah.
whatever, then maybe we reconsider, but at this
Yeah.
point, I don't think we should be acting for the whole county on one complaint.
I think that's.
Yep.
Any other discussion? I think that's a fair comment.
That was exactly what I was thinking, so, yeah.
Okay. I think at this point that means we're gonna let sleeping dogs lie until there's more issues with it.
I don't think it would be wrong to reach out to the township, though, and just see if they're aware of any other additional.
yeah, I mean, I could reach out to him, and then we did. We've kind of already talked about it, but we did tell the guy that was concerned about this to draft us some type of letter that we could read to the committee, but we kind of aired out most of his complaints, and he hasn't done that yet, and we just thought, why wait around and for him to send us a letter? We talked to him probably over a month ago or a month and a half ago, and he came here and met with us, and he was happy that we met with him, and that we were going to try to at least address it, and we kind of said, well, we have to do this to discuss it, and that's where we'd go from, and he hasn't called since, so.
I think at this point, we'll let it be. If there's further issues, bring it back and we'll discuss our next steps. Thank you, Mark. Item 13, Environment and Land Use Committee membership modification, discussion, possible action.
Just wanted to update you guys. You may or may not remember, but our current makeup of the ELU committee includes a member from the Farm Services Agency, and that's that way because of the way state statutes were written. And the USDA made a decision within the last year or two that FSA should not participate with local conservation committees. That it came from the federal government that they should not take on that role. Of course, that, you know, state statutes need to be changed then. That change happened recently, and changed the requirement from an FSA member and replaces it with a person who is engaged in an agricultural use as defined in Chapter 92, which is crop or forage production, livestock, beekeeping, nursery sod or Christmas tree production, floriculture, aquaculture, fur farming, and/or forest management. So it's a very, one thing that's nice about that definition is it's very broad and it makes it easier to find someone to serve in that role. So this would not take effect till the next appointment period next spring. So we have time yet to bring forward changes and bring it through the county board. So I'm sure when the next corporation council comes on board, that'll be one of the projects to update that ordinance.
This would be in addition to like Randy's role as the livestock producer. We would have it agricultural, which is a little bit more broad.
A little bit more broad, yes. So we have plenty of time to work on this, but it is a change, and it is there's a lot of discussion at the Land Management Conservation Office level. Wisconsin Land and Water was heavily involved in moving this forward and getting some action from the state legislature. So they helped out a lot on getting an appropriate fix for this. So you'll be seeing more on this topic coming forward in the future.
Doesn't need like to know water rights or, you know, forest management rules and stuff like that, like the FSA would to bring to this committee then, you know, on as far as zoning stuff that way?
A person who is engaged in agricultural use, so very broad. So it's not necessarily regulatory, it's more about, it could be entrepreneurship in agriculture, could be even be a hobby, could be, you know, it's really very open. So that'll bring another person on board, the committee going forward. And then we'll have more discussions on
who and how.
that with Corporation Council. We'll get that written up in the coming months, and we'll have it ready for the spring.
So previously, the requirements were that we would have somebody from Farm Bureau, did I hear?
Farm Services Agency, yes.
But we've not had that membership because that's not been
We
available?
did.
We did,
Yeah.
2 years ago?
Yeah.
Yep, and higher ups at the federal government said that was not appropriate for those people to participate with these committees.
Right. I just wanted to understand, like, we're adding or we're replacing a member who should have been here all along, but we've not had. Oh,
Right.
Okay.
Replacing,
Okay.
Yeah.
according to state statutes.
Before they eliminated or didn't participate, there were some things they could vote on and some things they couldn't, and like
This will
closed
probably,
session, they always had to leave.
this will probably clean that up.
Yeah.
And they'd just be another committee member at that point.
Yeah, we'll do some more research on
Yeah,
that and
find
make
out
sure we get
details.
that clarified on what they can vote on, what they can't, and the aspects of that. But, yeah, so there'll be. But I was glad that they used a broader term, because it's not always easy to get people, citizen members, to participate, and this gives us more flexibility.
Okay, good news. Item 14, DLM Director Update.
Couple things, Reed Lally, our conservation specialist, has found a new position with the Natural Resource Conservation Service. So he'll be finishing up his position here on Friday. So that position has been posted. So we'll be recruiting for that. We're sorry to see him go. He brought a lot to the office, a lot of positive energy, and his passion for not only the park but for Bluff Prairies He did a lot of conservation works on bringing and helping to restore bluff prairies in the county. So we will definitely miss him. We're having a going away lunch on Friday at noon. So it's a potluck. So if you guys are around and want to wish him well, please stop by. It's fall after Labor Day, and so another one of the key communication tools that we've been doing over the last 2 years is the newsletter. We've been mailing that hard copy out to every property owner in the county. It's gotten a good response, so we're going to continue to do that again this year. Any other questions?
Anything specifically for the director?
Is there a TIF district being proposed for the town of Trempealeau or the village of Trempealeau?
I have not heard anything regarding that.
I think so.
Because John Austin was saying he had to go down to some meeting a couple weeks ago or whatever, and I was just wondering if they're creating a new one.
Yeah, I can't remember. He told me about that.
If it's either the village, if it's the village, it's not us, but if it's the town, then it could be.
Is it related to that park?
Yeah.
Okay.
It has to do.
There's a, to get a TIF approved in any municipality, there's like a TIF board with one of the members is a county board rep.
Okay.
So they might be creating a new one or adding on to that.
Okay. Item 15, future agenda items. Anything we would like to add, other than finishing up our ordinances regarding the, what was that, the 6,000 we were putting in the future? No, that wasn't it. The roads?
The road engineering fees?
That's what it was. I started writing a note and I didn't finish it. So that was what it was. So in relationship to
It was an
townships.
engineering assessment, and now it'll become an engineering fee with a smaller amount.
Correct. As used as needed. So we'll do that.
Now, will that be
ordinance.
stated as any culvert then, supposedly, or is it the restriction like it is stated now?
We can write it like it is now if we want.
Okay.
Yeah,
Pretty
it's
sure.
essentially, when we're providing assistance to a town, we'll have a form that they can fill out or, easy thing, and it's just like,
Probably the deal if the town wants us to look at a 24-inch or 30 or something, we can do
Right,
it.
right.
But a 36 and above is, I think, if that's what it is currently, I don't think. Yeah, we'll look at language and I think model after that probably.
right.
Anything else we want to, comprehensive planning, that's been something we want to bring back. How do we want to move forward on that? Is that an October agenda item probably? Just keep having a discussion on it.
Is there, enough staff here to oversee all that in-house, or,
Do we want it in-house? Do we want
I
to?
think that's what we have to decide and kind of
we need more
reevaluate the
staff?
whole
I mean, we
thing.
don't, Mark's overloaded and a few others, or
Verge's got plenty.
plenty, yeah.
In
Well,
that,
Yeah,
I recommend looking at that email that he just sent with
that
that.
was an interesting.
Well, I didn't get, I mean,
I read
it's
a
lots
bunch
of
of it last
pages,
night,
but
but
So
even
did I
the-
too, or what
The
it's
cover
so.
letter, talks about, the 25-year future, so I plan.
It was very
Yeah.
interesting, yeah.
I guess for purposes of going forward, I'd like to evaluate, I guess, what we've done in the past, what the requirements actually are,
Yeah,
and then
it's
what
in
our
there.
role
Yeah.
should be going
Requirements-
forward.
Requirements are
Yeah.
state statute,
Yeah.
but the state ain't really enforcing it too hard right now, as you can see, or according to that, there's a lot that are not in compliant,
Right,
Yeah, those maps were kind of
it
interesting.
was
Yeah, they
very
were.
interesting.
But it looks like, for the most part, Trumpealeau County is.
The
It
county
is,
like-
other
it
than the
seems like
town of
the whole
Gale, I don't know
county-
why.
Well,
Yeah.
that was an error on the report's part.
Okay.
From what I can tell, because the Gale plan was passed by ordinance. Maybe there's some unique thing in there, but I think that was a mapping error on
Yeah,
that.
that or, they said they did everything by website, well, not all townships have website in the
Yeah,
county either.
but for that map, I think that was an error.
Okay,
Because we're all current. But there's about 30, I think, if I'm remembering the number correct, about 30% of the counties are not current on their comp plan, I think.
It
if
was
that-
like
on that page.
57 were or something. I don't
Yeah,
remember.
I
something like that.
can't
There's a lot
remember,
of-
but we should feel good about that.
Yes, we should.
Um,
We're in compliance. I mean,
Yep.
predecessors.
Just
did
to
their
know
job.
what our procedure is moving forward.
But it was a very, very good report.
Yeah.
It
Collect,
was very
to
interesting.
collect all that data
But it-
that Peter put together, that's a lot of data to pull together.
He was good, but I mean, is there any districts in the lower county, upper county where population booms are coming that we should be considering some things or no? I guess I'll bring that to the town or whatever. If some districts are being developed, subdivisions or anything like that.
And that's what they should be. And that should come from the local level.
Should.
And we want to help facilitate and have discussion on those things. But so we'll bring that forward. History might be a great place to start as to how it has been done, so that we all understand, and then figure out how we want to, what if anything we want to change. So, anything else we want to discuss in the future? Hearing nothing, our next meeting date is set up for October 4th at 8:30. Any issues from anyone on the committee with that date?
Request time? Did you hear it already, Mike?
Something about you talk about it
Well, we
because,
can, yeah.
Dave, you know
Go ahead.
more
Because
about
of
what's
the-
going
some-
on.
we adjourned?
Not yet.
no.
We're still,
Haven't established yet. Exec Finance is having an issue trying to find room to do our budget hearings. And we've usually used the Trempealeau room, but that's already been scheduled for the whole time we would need. So we're going to be meeting in this room. And one of our dates to meet is going to be that day, starting at 10 o'clock is our scheduled time. Any chance that this committee could agree to attempt to be done with our meeting by 10 o'clock?
I'm on board. You don't have to ask me.
Do we want to start earlier?
We can start at 8.
Are there
Some-
public
some-
hearings?
We don't know necessarily.
Verge, do we have
Verge?
any public hearing?
Not yet, but Friday's the deadline.
Yeah, so if we get through this week without any, we're good.
I know there's.
But it is the fall. Yeah.
It may be worth starting at 8, just so.
To be on the
Make
safe
sure.
side.
be on
Should we
the safe
change our
side.
start time to 8 then for
Have
next
you had
month?
any public hearings yet that are coming up, Verge, that you know of?
Like I said, Friday's the deadline.
Friday's
and,
deadline.
I'm expecting a couple, but they haven't come in yet.
Okay.
So we might as well plan on a couple, I think, at this point. And we'll plan on starting at 8.
And at this point, I mean, if we go an extra 10 or 15 minutes, that can all be coordinated.
I mean, and if it's today's length meeting, we'd be fine anyway.
Kind of unique.
But
I
we
like
don't
the
know.
time, since we set up 10 to 3 for 5 days.
Sure. Well, we'll start at 8. I don't, that's reasonable. So we will do 8 o'clock
Okay.
next month, October the 26th, 4th.
Start 10.
So with that, I will adjourn at 9:54.